Hi, you're welcome to our class for this day. Today we'll be looking at chemistry, and the topic we'll be treating is elements. This is actually the foundation of chemistry. Element has been defined in different ways. Using West Africa syllabus, WAEC syllabus, element is defined as a substance which cannot be split into simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. An element is a substance which cannot be split into simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. But using the IGCSE syllabus, element is defined as a substance that contains only one type of atom. Only one type of atom. And I think that's explicit enough. And I want you to know that in an element, there are atoms that look alike. Take for instance, hydrogen is an element. Hydrogen contains hydrogen atoms. A particular element contains 6.02 times 10 raised to the power 23 atoms. That is, oxygen, for instance, oxygen element contains 6.02 times 10 raised to the power 23 oxygen atoms. And that's why, because it contains 6.02 times 10 raised to the power 23 oxygen atoms, it is called oxygen element. So, going back to IGCSE definition, an element is a substance that contains only one particular type of atom. For instance, if this is an element and these are atoms, it is not possible to see oxygen atom, hydrogen, chlorine atom, hydrogen atom. No. But if this is an oxygen atom element, for instance, all these inside will be oxygen atoms. And how many are they? 6.02 times 10 raised to the power 23 oxygen atoms. So an element is a substance that contains one particular type of atom in it. Going by WAEC, an element is a substance which cannot be split into simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. Now, there are 109 known elements in the world. 109 known elements in the world. These elements can be found in the air, in water, in the earth crust. And they are found in two different states. They can be found in free states, that is, existing on its own. Or they can be found in combined states. They can be found in free states, or combined states. Elements that are inactive, they are not very active, are always found in free state. It means if you bring any other element by its side, they will never react with such elements. Such elements are found in free state. An example of such elements are elements in group O, the noble gases, the helium, neon, argon. While elements that are very active, are found in combined state. You can never leave sodium, for instance, and sodium remains that way. No. In the earth crust, it will react with water in the earth crust to form sodium hydroxide. It will react with oxygen in the air to form sodium oxide, and the like. So take note, elements, the 109 known elements can either exist in free states or in combined, depending on whether they are active or inactive. And what determines the activity of any element? Take note. If the outermost shell of an element has incomplete electrons, that element will be active. Again, if the outermost shell of an atom or element has incomplete electrons, that element will be active. However, if it has completely filled orbit or shell, the electrons are complete, that element will be inactive. Now let me go remind you of this. There are two states of shell. There are two states a shell can be found. The shell can be found in either octet state or duplex. The first shell of any atom can only take 2 electrons. So if the first shell, for instance, takes 1 electron, you know that the maximum electron that the first shell is called the K shell. The K shell can only take maximum 2 electrons. It cannot take beyond that. Now, if it now contains 1 electron, it shows that that element has incompletely filled K shell. That element will be active. But if the K shell, the element has only K shell, and the K shell has only 2 electrons, it is completely filled, then that element will be inactive. Again, if for instance we have the L shell, which is second shell, the M shell, the N shell, the maximum electron for now they can take is 8. The maximum electron they can take is 8. For now, I will later give you the formula for knowing the maximum electron a shell can take when we get to electronic configuration. The maximum electron that the outer shells, apart from the K shell, the inner shell, can take is 8. Now, if for instance you have chlorine having 287, the outer electron is 7 in number instead of 8. Chlorine will be very active because it has incomplete electrons on the outermost shell. If you have sodium, for example, sodium is 11. Atomic number 281, electronic configuration. It has 1 in the outermost shell instead of 8. Sodium will be very active. But if we have, say, neon, for instance, neon is 2,8. The outermost shell is having 8 electrons, and the maximum electron that take is 8. So it's completely filled. So neon is inactive. I'll recap. There are 109 known elements in the world. They can be found in the air, in water, in the earth crust. They can be found in a free state if they are inactive. And if they are inactive, it means they are completely filled outermost shell. They could also be found in combined state if they are active. Now, elements in the world are arranged in a table called periodic table. In a table called periodic table. Now let's count. This is 1A, 1, 2, 3. This is 4. This is 5. This one. And this is 6. This is 7. And this is 0. So we have this column, vertical lines, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, column 6, column 7, and column 8. 8 columns. The horizontal lines, the row, we have row 1, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7. 7. So a periodic table is a table of 8 columns and 7 rows where the elements are arranged. It's a table of 8 columns and 7 rows where the elements are arranged. Now, the columns are called group, while the rows are called period. So here is group 1, this is period 1, period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, period 5. Sorry, we have period 1 up. This is period 1. Period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take note, period is the horizontal line or the row, while column is the group. So we have in the periodic table has 8 groups. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4, Group 5, Group 6, Group 7. The 8th group is actually called Group O, Group 0. Then we have period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, period 5, period 6, period 7. Take note. This is hydrogen. It was meant to be in Group 1, but we kept it in between. The reason is all Group 1, Group 2, Group 3 elements are usually metals. But hydrogen is meant to be in Group 1, but hydrogen, as you know, is a gas. So it is not behaving like the other Group 1 elements. Hence, it is placed in between, not exactly on Group 1A. Now let's look at classification of elements. There are different ways of classifying elements. Elements can be classified as metal, non-metal, and metalloids. That's one way. Another way of classifying elements is using the group. Element can be classified as Group 1 element, Group 2 element, Group 3 element, Group 4 element, Group 5 element, Group 6 element, Group 7 element, and Group O element. That's another way. And the third way of classifying elements is the S block element, P block element, D block element, and F block element. You look very well, you see that this is S block element, and this is our P block element, and we have the D block element and F block element. Please take note, I have just shown you 3 ways of classifying elements. Element, the 109 known element placed in a periodic table can be classified as metal, metals, non-metals, metal. That's one way. Another way is to classify them based on their group. Group 1 element, Group 2 element, Group 3 element, Group 4 element, Group 5 element, Group 6 element, Group 7 element, and Group O element. And the last way is classifying them based on their blocks. S block element, P block element, D block element, and F block element. Let's look at classification of elements in this. Now, we can classify elements as metals, non-metals, and metalloids. And how do we know this metal? Now, I'm not going to go elaborate into what you know as metal. The metal you see, solid metals, because you must have been told that metals have lustrous characteristics. They are sonorous, they make sound, they are magnetic, they corrode, they are malleable, they are ductile, they have tensile strength. These are not what we are talking about now. Later we'll talk about metals in proper. But we're talking about classifying elements, not the solid you see now. The element into metal, non-metals, and metal. Let's look at metals. Those elements that are classified under metals have these characteristics. 1, they are solid. 2, they are found in the S block except Group 3, because this is Group 1, S block, metal. Group 2, metal. Group 3 is also in metal. But take note, this Group 3 is found in the P block. That's why you see I said except Group 3. All metals are found in the S block except Group 3. Group 3 is also part of metal. Number 3, they ionize by electron loss. And let me tell you what ionization is. Ionization is a process whereby an atom is transformed into an ion. Ion is I-O-N, not I-R-O-N. Ionization is the process whereby an atom is transformed into an ion by electron loss or electron gain. If you look very well, this is an atom, sodium atom, but here it has been transformed to sodium ion. And an ion is usually having a charge on it. So an ion is a group, an atom or group of atoms that is electrically charged. And we note that by these signs, plus sign, minus sign. The plus sign shows that. So if you look look at this, the metal, for instance, metal sodium. For it to change to sodium ion, it had to lose one electron to have sodium plus. Now we don't write it this way. So if we move this mathematically to this side, it becomes plus. So this is how we write ionization of metal. So metals ionize by losing electrons. That's why I said they ionize by electron loss. Look at magnesium. It will lose 2 electrons to become magnesium 2 plus. So write this mathematically, because magnesium Mg equals Mg2 plus 2E minus. Number 4 characteristics of metallic elements is they have few electrons in their outermost shells. Basically, they have 1 or 2 or 3 electrons. So they have few. Group 1 elements have 1 electron alone on their outermost shell. Group 2 elements like magnesium, calcium, they have 2 electrons in the outermost shell. Group 3 elements, aluminum has 3 electrons on its outermost shell. Number 5 is they are group 1, group 2, and group 3 elements. Examples of metals are lithium, beryllium, sodium, and like. Please take note, this example does not mean example 4. Okay, let me just put that. Number 6, examples include lithium, beryllium, sodium, aluminum, calcium, magnesium, and what have you. Now let's look at non-metals. Just go reverse this. Non-metals, number 1, are gases. Number 2, they are found in the p block. Number 3, they ionize by electron gain. This chlorine, it gets 1 electron to become chlorine ion. This oxygen gets 2 electrons to become oxygen ion. Now take note, how do we know the amount of electrons an atom will gain or will lose? An atom will lose, for metal, will lose the same number of elements it has in the outermost shell for it to be an ion. An atom will gain the same number of electrons, it has in the outermost shell for it to become ion. Look at oxygen, for instance. Oxygen is 2, 6. Now, later I'll teach you electron configuration. Now, 6 minus 8 equals minus 2. So that's why we have this. I will talk about that later on. Now, number 4, they have more electrons in their outermost shell. If I take, for instance, oxygen is 2, 6. It has more. The total number of electrons, the maximum number is 8. 6, that's more. Look at this. 2, 8, 7. Chlorine, it has 7, remaining 1. So they have more. Unlike the metals have few electrons in their outermost shell. While the non-metals have more electrons in their outermost shell. The next one, they are group 5, group 6, group 7, and group O elements. Remember, we don't say group 8, we say group O elements. Examples of non-metals include oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, chlorine. Okay, I've written this, neon, and etc. Okay, let's look at the other way of classifying elements based on the block such elements fall into. But before I go into this, I want you to note that we have what we call shells and subshells. The shells, we also interchangeably call them orbits. So we have the s orbit, the p orbit, the d orbit, and the f orbit. Now, each of these orbits or shells each of these orbits or shells has subshells. For instance, the S shell has subshells as 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. These are called subshells. Why? The P shell has 2p, it doesn't have 1p, 2p, 3p, 4p, 5p, and we call it P subshell. Now, these subshells have different energy level in which to fill the electrons. So you start filling electron from the lower energy level, and as you keep going 1s, then you move to 2s. You can't go to 3s, you go to 2p. From 2p, you go to 3s. From 3s, you go to 3p. You have that 3p, and you keep going until you get to D, and you get to F. We'll talk more about that when we get to D block and transition elements. So elements can be classified as S block elements, P block elements, D block elements, and F block elements. The S block elements are elements that have 1, 2 electrons, or they have their outermost electrons on the S subshells. They have their outermost electrons on the S subshells. Let me give you, for example, if we have sodium has 11 electrons, and we add it, we fill this now, 1s raised to the power 2. The next energy level is 2s raised to the power 2. After 2s is 2p. 2p raised to the power, p can take 6 maximum. Now we have 2, 4 plus 6, 10. So we are left with 1. Then we have next one, 3s raised to the power 1. You see that the last electron of sodium fell on 3s subshell. 3s subshell. Therefore, sodium is found within the S block, and it is classified as an S block element. Look at, let's check magnesium. Magnesium has 12. So if you have to do magnesium, Mg has 12. So we have 1s raised to the power 2, 2s raised to the power 2, 2p raised to the power 6. Then the next one is 3x. We are left with 10. We have 2, 4 plus 6, 10. Remaining 2. So it still falls on 3s subshell. So magnesium is also an S block element. So again, I have said S block elements are elements that have their outermost electrons found within the S subshells. P block elements, just like I defined, P block elements are elements that have their outermost electrons found within the P subshells. Let's look at this. Now let's take one example of P block element. Let's take aluminium for instance. Watch this. Or maybe we should take chlorine. Chlorine has 17 electrons. So we have 1s raised to the power 2. The next one is 2s raised to the power 2. The next one is 2p raised to the power 6. That is 10. Remaining 7. We have 3s raised to the power 2. Remaining 5. We have 3p raised to the power 5. You see that the last electron, the outermost electron, fell on 3p. And 3p is a subshell of p shell. So it's having the last outermost electrons falling on 3p subshell. Therefore, chlorine is classified as a P block element. Note, the S block and the P block elements are together referred to as representative elements. The D block elements are known as transition elements. So let's talk about the D block elements. The D block elements are elements who has or elements that have their outermost electrons falling on the D block D subshells. I'll go into that later. They are generally called transition elements, which will be the next topic after this. Now, the F block elements are elements that have their outermost electrons falling on the F subshells. And you can see this. And uniquely, the F block elements are found outside the main periodic table. Now, the F block elements are classified into two. One, the lanthanide, and two, the actinide. I said the F block elements are classified into two, the lanthanide and the actinide. The lanthanide and the actinide. If you go back to our table, our periodic table, you see that the F block is actually outside the periodic table. So, the first row is the lanthanide, while the second row is the actinide. Now, you see that if from here the D block ends in 112, then we have 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118. Therefore, it therefore shows that the lanthanide starts from 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, 132 to 132, while the actinide starts from 133, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46 to 146. Now, please take note, the counting I just made. The D block elements are elements that are found from atomic number Z 21 to 112 D block. Go from here down to this place. From atom number 21, which is scandium, titanium. The first one is scandium, then titanium, vanadium, to 112. However, not everything in the D block element, not every element in the D block element is a transition element. From 21 to 80, atomic number 21 to 80 is transition elements. Now, from 81 upward to 112, those ones are classified as radioactive elements. We'll talk about radioactivity later on. So, from 81 to 112, we are talking of radioactive elements. So, all the elements in D block, within the D block, can either be transition elements or radioactive elements. So, I go again. The elements in D block are elements of from atomic number 21 to 112. From atomic number 21 to 80 are transition elements, while from 81 to 112 are radioactive elements. So this is classification based on blocks. And lastly, the last one before we end the class for today, classification based on group. You can classify elements as group 1 element, group 1 elements. Group 1 elements are known as alkaline metals. E.g., sodium, or you start with lithium, sodium, potassium. Now, group 2 elements, number 2 is group 2 elements. They are known as alkaline earth metal. And they include calcium, magnesium, beryllium. We have the group 3 elements. 3 elements are known as boron family. And we have group 4 elements. They are known as carbon family. Carbon family. I will come back because we didn't classify metalloids. We didn't see anything on metalloids. That and they are actually before why there was. I think there's no much to say about that. I will come back to that before we wrap up. Group 5 elements. Group 5 elements. Please take note. These numbers are actually written in Roman figures and Roman numeral. Elements. And nitrogen family. Nitrogen family. We have group 6 elements. Group 6 elements. They are oxygen family. We have sulfur, oxygen there. And we have group 7 elements. They are called halogen. Halogen family. We have iodine, bromine, fluorine, chlorine in this group. And lastly, we have the group O. Group O. Group O. Group O elements. They are called the noble gases or inert elements. Inert means inactive, inert elements. Now, back to metalloids. Metalloids are not solids and they are not gases. So they are semi-solids, or we call them liquids, just like characteristics we're having before. They are found in group 4. They are group 4 elements. Now we cannot actually say they are plus or minus. So when we come to down, we are writing the valency or oxidation number of group 4, we write plus or minus 4. So that in between the solid, the metals, and the gaseous one, the non-metal, they are found in between them. They are group 4 elements. And examples are carbon, silicon, germanium, etc. I hope you enjoyed the class for today. Please don't forget to invite your friends. At this period of worldwide lockdown, education should still continue. You are the leaders and the future of this generation. You need to continue learning on this platform. Invite your friends, hit the like notification bell, and also subscribe to our channel. Till we see you next time. Bye for now.